One moment she was standing, the next her body hit the cold tile like a warning bell from heaven. A scream, someone shouting, footsteps, then sirens, then silence. She blinked, confused. The sterile white light above her flickered slightly, casting dull shadows across the ceiling tiles. She could hear the soft beeping of her heart monitor, and the sharp scent of disinfectant lingered in the air. Her lips parted, her throat was dry. What? Where am I? A soft shuffle to her left. A voice, gentle and calm, answered. You're at Lincoln Hospital, ma'am, said the nurse, adjusting the IV beside her. You fainted. You were brought in unconscious. As 𝐶𝐫𝐤𝐵 blinked again, trying to push through the haze clouding her memory. What happened? You collapsed, the nurse said, on the subway platform just before the 4 train pulled in. Someone said you'd been standing still for a long time. You just went down. We were able to stabilize you quickly. You're lucky. A wave of emotion rose in 𝐶𝐫𝐤𝐵's chest. Sharp, terrifying. Her heart pounded. She tried to sit up, but the nurse placed a steady hand on her shoulder. It's okay, the nurse murmured. Take it easy. Tears welled in 𝐶𝐫𝐤𝐵's eyes as realization crept in. She remembered now, being on that platform, stomach aching, mind racing, feeling like her life was running in place. Everything had felt heavy, meaningless, hollow. She swallowed hard. It could have ended right there. The nurse nodded solemnly. Yes, it could have, but it didn't. As 𝐶𝐫𝐤𝐵 stared up at the ceiling, eyes glassy, her voice was quiet, almost a whisper. I don't know how I got here. I mean here, in this life, this version of me. The nurse gave her a soft smile and said, sometimes your body says what your soul's been trying to say for years. Then the nurse added, but maybe this is your beginning, not your end. People don't always get second chances. You just did. No more mornings, no more second chances, no more options to change. Just a full stop to a life barely lived. She realized with sick clarity she had almost died with her dreams still inside her. Her heart clenched, not from pain, but from the quiet scream rising from her soul. I've been wasting time. I've been postponing purpose. I've been editing my life myself to fit into lives I wasn't even called to. She hadn't just fallen, she had been dropped into awakening. She lay there weeping silently, tears soaking her hospital gown, not because she was afraid, but because for the first time in years, she was fully awake. She thought about how many days she had delayed the vision she had for her future, her life. How often she had told herself later. How often she showed up small to keep others comfortable. How often she outsourced her joy, her voice, her timing. And in that moment, something inside her snapped into alignment. A vow ignited in her chest like a flame rising from the spark. From the spark she'd felt when she'd first read the scroll. Fierce and unrelenting. And she made a vow to herself that day, and she said, I will not die full of unspoken dreams. I will not live numb, silencing the fire within me. I will not tiptoe around my calling or settle for the ordinary. I will rise, I will stretch, I will fight for the life I was created to live. Hello lovelies, I hope you're doing well. My name is 𝐸𝐸𝐞𝐚𝐤, and I just read an excerpt from my second book, The Tyranny of the Ordinary. And this chapter is just about seeing the urgency of life. So like I read, 𝐶𝐫𝐤𝐵 is the protagonist in the book, and she was a Ghanaian immigrant who moved to the USA for a better life, as most of us always hope for. And she was exhausted, doing 3 jobs, the typical immigrant story. And while on the train, waiting for her train to go to one of her jobs, she fainted and she was rushed to the hospital. But for her, it was an awakening that she could have literally just died with all her dreams in her. And that's the essence of this book in its entirety. We have gifts, we have dreams, we have abilities, we have so many things that the world needs, but most of us just keep it in us till we die. Like they say, the cemetery is the richest place on earth because there are so many books that were unwritten, so many songs that went unsung, so many speeches that went unspoken, so many buildings that went unbuilt, so many remedies, so many medications, so many things that went dormant and are still lying there in the lives of people, in their hearts, in their minds. So my question to you today is, what is in your heart? What is in your mind that is still dormant and you haven't brought to life yet? Because sometimes we think we have tomorrow, we have later, we have one day. We sort of shelve our dreams for the more important realities of the responsibilities that we have. We shelve our passions, our creativity for someday. But what if someday never comes? What if your someday is today? That is the essence of life. We have to live life like we know it's an urgent business, because most of us just dilly-dally through life, just standing, just like a waltz, just waltzing through life. But life is not like that. Like, you can't waltz through life and create an extraordinary life. An extraordinary life is a life that is built with intention, is built with strategy, with plan, with prayers, with faith, with hope, with courage, most of all. And that was the essence of the chapter. So I want to read another part of it. One of the main things that keep us stuck is our excuses. Your excuses are valid. I'm not here to invalidate any excuse. Yes, you might not have money. Yes, you might not have the background. You might not have the network. You might not have the skills. Those are valid. But in as much as your excuses are valid, they are also keeping you small and they're keeping you stuck. So life doesn't honor the person with the woe is me story, right? It doesn't have the person, it doesn't honor the person with the piteous story. It honors the person who, despite their story, decides to rise. My mom has the saying that whatever happened to someone and the person fell apart, or the person divorced, or the person, let go, happened to someone, the person pushed through. This chapter is called Push Through the Pause, and it's literally naming your excuses and identifying them as excuses, and then finding ways to go around them. Like I said, your excuses are valid, but they're keeping you stuck and keeping you small. So unless you want to continue being stuck or being small, then you have to let go of the excuses, because you can't hold on to your excuses and get results. It doesn't work like that. You either hold on to your excuses or you let go of them and you get results. So I want to read another excerpt here. It says, "Tired is real, but so is your potential." She looked around, half scared, half relieved. The voice again, "You're not tired, you are afraid. And instead of calling it fear, you've dressed it up as exhaustion, self-doubt, and busyness." And that is the thing. Most of us are paralyzed because of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of ridicule, fear of, one of the most common fears, what will people say? Why do you care about what people will say? I know it's easier said than done. And even for me personally, it took a while for me to be able to live life irrespective of what people say. Because the reality is, at the end of the day, you are the author of the book. You are the one going to stand in front of God on Judgment Day, and He'll ask you what you did with your talent. Not Amma, not Kofi, not whoever. It's you. So if at the end of the day, you're shelving the dreams, the ability, the power that God gave you because of what people will say, on that day, what are you going to say? God, I was scared that Emily will laugh at me, so I didn't pursue it. Or I was scared that Afrakuma will say something funny about me, so I didn't do it. Is that what you want to go and stand to say? So that's what this chapter is about, actually. It's about our excuses and the fear that is keeping us stuck. Sit down with a paper and a pen, and ideally a nice cup of tea, and ask yourself, what are you truly afraid of? Are you afraid of ridicule? And sometimes we're afraid to be seen starting because we made fun of people when they were starting. Something maybe like, even I like to use content creation as an example. Maybe you want to become a content creator, but maybe one of your friends or someone in your circle started creating content, you were laughing at the person. So now you're scared to do it because you think you'll be the one laughed at now, right? Or you are judging people, you are gossiping about people. So now you're scared to be in that position because people are going to gossip about you and people are going to judge you too. But that is very irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. If you want to live a life that is an extraordinary life, fear would never go away, right? It's always the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen on the other side. But most of us are so pessimistic that in as much as we don't know, instead of thinking about the good things, we think about the bad things, right? Because neither of the things have happened. If you're going to start a business today, yes, it can fail, it can wind up in a couple of months, people can steal your money, people can swindle you, there are so many things. But there's also a positive side. What if it succeeds? What if you become very profitable in the first couple of months? What if you impact millions and millions around the globe? What if you make money beyond your wildest dreams, and live the life that you never thought was possible. Those are two sides of the coin, but we're always thinking about the negative side as opposed to the positive side. So today I want to ask you, what are you truly afraid of? Take a paper and a pen and write down the honest thing you're afraid of. If it's fear of ridicule, if it's fear of looking stupid in front of people, you have to realize that. If it's fear of failure, there's nothing like failure. I always say, if you try something and it doesn't work out, you haven't failed. You have become wiser, because now you know one way not to do it again. But if you try, and I think the greatest failure in life is a life that was dormantly lived. A life that you were so afraid that you didn't push, you didn't fight, you didn't do anything, you just stood in the one corner and just marked time till the end of your life. I think that is the greatest failure of all. Because if in life you're going to dare, if in life you're going to have the courage, the audacity to pursue something that is a dream of yours or a goal or a vision, there will be fear, because it's something you've probably not done before. It's something that you've not seen before. The outcomes are unknown, and naturally as human beings we are afraid. And research shows that physical fear, like mental fear, is equivalent to physical fear. So the part of our brains that process mental fear is the same part that processes physical fear. So our brain, so let's say fear of judgment, we fear of judgment like fear of literally falling down physically and having a sore or a bruise, right? So it makes sense to be afraid. But the thing is, you can't be stuck in your fear. So it's like, feel the fear and go ahead and do it anyway. Feel the fear of judgment and go ahead and do it anyhow. Feel the fear of ridicule, feel the fear of failure, feel the fear of even success sometimes. Sometimes we're afraid of success. Sometimes we're afraid of being the first to do something, especially as Africans. We have this mindset of always waiting for permission. So we are there marking time, waiting for permission for someone to come and say, permission granted to go and follow your dreams, or permission granted to go and embark on that journey, permission granted. Sometimes you have to give yourself permission. I was talking on a Woman's Voice, which is a show on GBC a couple of weeks ago, and the woman who was interviewing she asked me, she was like, sometimes what do you do when no one gives you permission? And I told her, there's this video of a little girl, I don't know if you've seen it, she's on a swing, like on a slide, and there's no one. She just puts two hands on her back and she pushes herself down. Sometimes that's what we have to do, because the permission will never come, the fear will never go away, and the excuses will always be there. You can either decide to do it or not to do it, but whatever it is, it's a choice, and you are free to choose, but you're not free from the consequences of your choice. You have to make the decision. Let go of your excuses and don't let fear win. That's it for today, guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.